All right, let's talk about something we all struggle with, procrastination. But what if the solution wasn't some complicated system, but a simple 5-minute trick that could build unstoppable momentum? Let's dive in. But first, just imagine for a second. What if the absolute hardest part of any task, just getting started, what if that suddenly became easy? Well, that's exactly the promise we're going to explore. So before we can appreciate the solution, we really have to understand the problem. And believe me, it's a trap that pretty much everyone falls into.
Oh, you know the feeling. That huge project just looming over you. That messy room basically screaming your name. Or that workout you swore you were going to do. Yeah, it's still just a promise. We all know that feeling. That dread.
And this right here, this is the vicious cycle of procrastination. See, it all starts when a task just feels way too big, right? It's intimidating, and that creates anxiety. So what do? We avoid it, naturally. But here's the kicker. Avoiding it doesn't actually make us feel better. It just starts this slow burn of guilt and dread, which only makes the task feel even bigger the next time we think about it.
So the big question is, how do we break out of that cycle? Well, it's not with some super complicated productivity system. It's actually with a really simple, kind of elegant breakthrough.
And here it is. It's called the 5-minute rule. And the deal is this. You commit to working on any task, but for only 5 minutes. The commitment isn't to finish it, not even to make a dent in it. The commitment is just to start. And here's the most important part. After those 5 minutes are up, you can stop. You have full permission. See how that just completely lowers the stakes?
Yep, that's it. Just 5 minutes. I mean, it's so small, your brain can't even come up with a good excuse to say no. Think about it. It's less time than you spend scrolling on your phone or waiting for your coffee to brew. This, right here, is the secret weapon. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. 5 minutes? That sounds way too simple to actually work. But trust me, there's some really powerful psychology at play here. Let's get into the science of why this thing is so effective.
Okay, time for a little throwback to physics class. You remember this one, right? An object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. Newton's law of inertia. Well, it turns out that law doesn't just apply to planets and baseballs, it applies perfectly to our own productivity.
Think about it. When you're procrastinating, you are literally an object at rest. Your brain is putting up this huge wall, resisting the energy it takes to start something new and difficult. But the moment you start, even for just those 5 tiny minutes, you become an object in motion. And all of a sudden, continuing the task feels so much easier than starting ever did. You've just created psychological momentum.
And this is absolutely key. The 5-minute rule isn't about tricking yourself into finishing some huge 3-hour project. That's not the point. The point is to just break through that initial wall of resistance. The only goal is to start. Because what you'll find is finishing often just takes care of itself once you've got that momentum going.
All right, so we get the why behind it. The theory makes sense. Now let's get super practical. Let's talk about how you can actually master this method like today.
It really boils down to 3 simple steps. First, you gotta shrink the task. Second, set a strict timer. And third, use micro-rewards. Okay, let's break down each one of those.
Okay, step 1, shrink the task. This means you have to totally redefine what starting even is. So, write the report, that's way too big. It becomes, open the document and write one single sentence. Clean the house becomes, just clear off this one counter. See? Go to the gym becomes, just put on your workout clothes. Anyone can do that. It makes that 5-minute commitment feel completely effortless.
All right, step 2 is a big one, and it's non-negotiable. You have to set a strict timer for exactly 5 minutes. This is your psychological safety net. It tells your brain, hey, there's a clear finish line right around the corner. And when that timer goes off, if you want to stop, you have to let yourself stop. No guilt. This is how you build trust in the system.
And finally, step 3 is all about micro-rewards. Listen, this is not about celebrating when you finish the entire project. This is about acknowledging the win of just starting. When you do that, you get a little hit of dopamine. It's your brain's reward system going, hey, that felt good, let's do that again. You are literally training your brain to love starting things.
So, when you start putting all these pieces together, day after day, something really powerful starts to happen. You're not just checking things off a to-do list anymore. You're actually fundamentally rewiring your brain. And that's the thing. The ultimate goal here isn't to use the 5-minute rule on every task for the rest of your life. Think of it more like training wheels.
You're using it to train your brain, so that eventually, starting isn't some huge, draining decision anymore. It just becomes an automatic reflex.
And here's kind of what that journey looks like. On day 1, yeah, it might feel a little forced, but stick with it. By week 2, you'll notice, hey, this is getting easier. And then before you know it, maybe a few months down the line, that hesitation you used to feel, that internal debate before starting something big, it's just gone. Starting becomes second nature.
So please, never underestimate the power of a tiny, tiny start. That first 5 minutes, that's the small push that gets a giant boulder rolling down a hill. And as we know, once that thing is rolling, it is incredibly hard to stop.
Which really just leaves one final question for you. Think about it right now. What's that one thing you've been putting off, maybe for days or weeks? Now, what's the tiny 5-minute piece of it that you're going to start today?